Hey, what's up, scholars? So, for this week, we're going to be talking about World War One and some of the things that led to World War Two. So, right now in history, we're in the early 20th century from 1914 up until the 1930s for this week. And our theme questions are: how can conflict be an instrument of change? What are some roles, or what roles do imperialism and nationalism play in the causes of World War One? And how do cult like or popular personalities and leaders shape politics in Europe? So, for this week, we're going to talk about World War One in terms of the brutality and the cost of it, how it changed the world forever, how the human loss and suffering really shaped what happens after. We're going to be talking about propaganda, reading a few articles about how the war ended, and also the treaty and the world order, how some of the losers from World War One end up wanting revenge. And some of these countries that lost from World War One end up getting these popular leaders that become dangerous and use certain politics to advance an agenda of vengeance that lead to another war. So I'm going to go through each day's directions to make sure that you're clear and that you understand what's going on. For Monday, there are two articles. So for Facing History, there's the articles about how the war started, and there are four main parts to that I'm going to discuss in another video. It also talks about the brutal realities of war. So the second article, you're going to get some stats and numbers about how many people actually were killed in the war. And it's going to tell you the exact cost of human suffering. There are questions for those two articles, very brief questions. And then when we get to Tuesday, we're going to analyze propaganda from World War One. Some of the propaganda that we're going to analyze is controversial. Some of these really kind of stoke a certain feeling and message to the audience to support their country against the war or against the opposing side. For Wednesday, we're going to talk about the end of World War One with the Treaty of Versailles. And there's an article that talks more about the peace process and also what the world order looks like after World War One. Again, mind you, those who lost in World War One end up planning and seeking vengeance using fascism as a way to build up their country to fight another war that you will learn about. Um, Thursday, some of the leaders that I mentioned, or the people who were on the losing side of World War One, are using fascism and anti-Semitism to promote these dangerous messages in Europe and around the world. And some of these messages you'll notice in your text. So what I want you to do is the question that says, how do cult-like personalities and leaders shape politics in Europe? What I want you to do is I want you to take evidence from your online textbook, and I want you to, in the evidence box, list some examples of how each leader represents this one. How do they shape the politics in Europe? All right. So, for example, Italy, Mussolini was a very powerful leader. He's known, fascism is like his middle name. Historians associate him with fascism. In the start of it, he partners with Hitler, and together they create this really weird alliance. And in the evidence part, I will put a quote describing what was Italy like under Mussolini. For example, in Italy, there were certain ways that Mussolini recruited young boys, indoctrinated them with a hateful message against certain people. And he had some type of ideology where he did not want people who were mixed racially or those who were not fully Italian to be treated fairly and equally. Same thing happens in Germany with Jewish people. The Jewish people in Germany were forced to live different lives from Germans because they weren't considered pure, right? And so you're going to see more in the text about this hateful and dangerous ideology. Same happens in Spain. Same thing happens in Soviet Union, which is present day Russia. As we move towards the end of the week, we're going to close with an Edpuzzle that talks about how fascism leads to World War II. So there's a connection with all of these events, right? So at the start, you have global economic trade. Remember that. So you have Enlightenment ideas and global trade. Those lead to revolutions. Now that we have all these new countries from those revolutions lead to more competition for more land, which is where imperialism comes in. Then the imperialism part leads to conflict because now we have countries fighting over land and wanting to be the biggest and baddest in Europe and all over the world. And so now we're at war. Let me know if you have any questions about anything I just explained to you for this week. As always, I'm available to you through email, office hours on Zoom, or on Google Classroom or Student or Parent Square. Thank you.